Maryland Department of Health, Developmental Disabilities Administration, Self-Directed Services Training Series, Module 7, Vendor and Provider Agreements, updated October 2025. This training module will provide you with an overview of vendors and providers offering services in the self-directed services model under the Developmental Disability Administration operated Medicaid waiver programs. This training is a summary with important information of this topic. More information and requirements are found in the Medicaid waiver program applications, laws, regulations, guidance, and policies. The most updated information regarding self-directed services is published in the Self-Directed Services Policy and Manual that can be found on DDA's website. Additional training modules are available that provide additional information on the topics presented in this overview training module. Vendors are people or companies contracted by the participant who self-directs their services. Some Medicaid waiver services allow participants who self-direct to hire a vendor. In the self-directed services model, vendors are paid by the participant's financial management and counseling services provider at the direction of the participant. In order to provide a Medicaid waiver service, vendors must meet all the requirements of the Medicaid waiver services they are providing. Meet all the requirements of vendors as outlined in the Self-Directed Services Comprehensive Policy and Manual. Licensed and DDA certified providers are people or companies that are licensed or certified by the Maryland Department of Health. Licensed and DDA certified providers are people or companies that are licensed or certified by the Maryland Department of Health. Some Medicaid waivers services require participants who self-direct to use a licensed or DDA certified provider. In the self-directed services model, providers are paid by the participant's financial management and counseling services provider at the direction of the participant. In order to provide a Medicaid waiver service, DDA providers must meet all the requirements of the Medicaid waiver service they are providing. Meet all the requirements for providers in the Self-Directed Services Comprehensive Policy and Manual. Beginning October 6, 2025, all participants must have a written agreement with any vendors or providers who provide their Medicaid waiver services. Written agreements must be submitted within the next person-centered plan. To be paid, vendors and providers must give invoices to the participant for payment. Invoices must be reviewed and approved by the participant. Team members may support the participant to review invoices. If a team member has a conflict of interest with the invoice, they are not allowed to support the participant to review the invoice. Written agreements between participants, vendors, and providers will make sure that the participant is in control of the Medicaid waiver services they receive from those providers and vendors. Written agreements offer clarity about the expectations the participants has for the Medicaid waiver services. Written agreements also offer clarity about the expectation of the vendor or provider on how they should work and be paid. All written agreements should use plain language and be accessible for the participant and be written in the language that the participant uses to communicate. Vendors and providers may only provide a service within the requirement of the participant Medicaid waiver program. This slide provides information related to the vendor and provider billing process under the self-directed services model. Vendors and providers must bill the participant directly for the Medicaid waiver service they provide. This billing must be in the form of an invoice sent to the participant. The participant and their team are responsible for reviewing the invoice and sending it to their financial management and counseling service provider for payment. The financial management and counseling services provider makes the payment to the vendor or provider. Vendors and providers must ensure a Form W-9 has been sent to the financial management and counseling service provider by the participant or their designated team member. A Form W-9 is used by people required to file returns with the Internal Revenue Service to get the payee's correct name and tax identification number. For individuals, the tax identification number is generally a Social Security number. Financial management and counseling services providers send payments to vendors and providers by either direct deposit or check. Billing concerns should be taken up with the participant and their team. Vendors, providers, and financial management and counseling service providers are not allowed to communicate with each other about billing within the participant's permission. All invoices must contain the following elements to be paid by the financial management and counseling services provider: the name of the participant, the vendor or provider name, the Medicaid waiver services rendered as authorized in the participant's person-centered plan, dates the services were rendered, start and end times for the services each day, the number of hours or units for each day broken down by the quarter hour, names of the direct support professional who provide the service during each shift, a description of tasks completed by the vendor during these times, and a total amount charged. Effective January 1st, 2025, all invoices must contain all of these elements in order to be paid by the financial management and counseling services provider. These slides include important resources. It is a best practice for participants to have written service agreements with all vendors and providers who provide their Medicaid waiver services. Vendors and providers negotiate the terms of their agreements with the participant. Vendors and providers must submit invoices to the participant. The invoice must include details about the Medicaid waiver service provided. The participant must approve the invoice in order for the financial management and counseling services provider to provide payment.